Hello, my name is Christian Shoemate. Today I'm going to be going over my Education 306 presentation, which has some different aspects of, asking about me, my teaching style that I hope to aim for, as well as classroom management in general and how I would go about personalizing it. So first off, we have my philosophy of education. My philosophy of education encapsulates the idea that our world's future foundations, so the people who are going to be in our workforce, in our Congress, whatever it may be, in every regard will one day be, um, sorry, my philosophy of education encapsulates the idea that our world's future foundation in every regard will one day be carried on by the learners of today. So the students we teach will one day become, those different people who are in our workforce, etc. It is important for educators to adapt and aid in the um, positive progress of academic progress. And in this regard, I would like to create a positive environment that is both educational and pleasant for those who I will one day teach. It's also important to note, on more of a psychological note, oftentimes whenever people, talk about some of the happiest times of their life, they often cite childhood. And I definitely want to help out in a positive and educational way to foster that sort of learning environment and, help people have better childhoods that are both educational and creative. So the next is classroom culture. I try to keep it short and sweet with this one. Um, Essentially, I would like to foster a classroom culture that is both enjoyable and seeks to positively impact the educational atmosphere. So, we talked briefly about what I'd said before about, fostering a place where students can be creative and be free to learn at their own pace. This is actually a diagram. It's supposed to be what my dream kind of setup would be. I'm pretty simple with it. This is pretty much how I've taught for both my mentor classes. The building that I was in was kind of set up like this. We had two windows to the left, and then we had the door. Um, the students, the desks were essentially in front of the blackboard, so direct instruction was quite simple. From here, I would go about my procedures. Um, Students should enter and leave the classroom respectfully and calmly while getting ready to start instruction. So, whether this be, like an activity or a project we may be working on, or simply just direct instruction. Students should be silent during direct instruction and during classroom activities such as collecting classwork and once finished with classwork, otherwise instructed, students try and be quiet and calm. Um, Disruptions will be dealt with orderly. It's kind of hard to say until it really happens, how to go about disruptions, whether it be like students talking or whatever it may be, which we do have the rules and procedures on that. And then for how I will teach these rules, I just stated I will teach these rules and procedures on the first day of class, reiterate throughout the year and when needed. So, sometimes in classrooms you have to reiterate different rules, whether it be individually per student or throughout the class. Next up, we have my rules and consequences. I try to keep them pretty relatively light and simple. Um, the first one I got, listen when others are speaking. That's definitely important in class. Treat others the way you would want to be treated. Follow directions. Use kind words and inside voices. And then the final one is for students to do their best. Now, as far as consequences go, I've mostly taught in a school where the consequences were essentially pre planned. Essentially, for any minor infraction, they had it to be where it'd be, moving a card or verbal warning, just kind of like reiteration of the rules. And from there, it would go on to, missing recess or, a call home or a note in their agenda, whatever it may be. Now, this could certainly change depending on the circumstance, but overall, that should be everything. I want to say thank you all for watching this video, and I hope y'all have a good day. Bye.